Yo, what's up guys? I'm back. Welcome back to the mechanics series. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about air roll. If I haven't said it before, air roll is super key and a super important basic, so definitely no need to sleep on that. Other than that, we're just going to hop into the demonstration right now. Alright you guys, I have a training pack here by my good buddy Wayprotein, and I'm just going to use this pack for demonstration. And by the way, if I didn't mention, everything in the video that I use here I'll be putting down in the YouTube description, so make sure to go check that out. But other than that, here we go. Alright you guys, I have loaded into the pack here on shot number 3. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hit the shot here, and then I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to break it down into steps, alright? Okay, just real quick before I get into the breakdown here, I'm gonna explain real quick why we're even doing this in the first place. And the reason we use air roll in our shooting practice is because sometimes when the ball's in front of us like this, and when it has mostly straight momentum like that, right? So it's mostly going straight, right? So in order for us to put the ball in the net from this position, we have to use air roll in order to give the ball a direction change. Because if we hit it with no air roll going in the direction it's going in, it's gonna look something like this. Okay, right? So in order to score this shot, we have to use a little bit air roll so that we can give the ball a direction change. Alright, so let me break this down into 3 steps of how the air roll shot goes, okay? So it starts with a jump of some kind, right? You have to get a jump. So for the second part, we're going to use boost and jump, right? At the same time. Alright, and then the third step is that in between jumping and becoming airborne, we're going to immediately use our arrow button to tilt our car to one side. So it'll look something like this. And then the final step is just adding in that flip, whether it's like a front flip, side flip, whatever it is that you use to get the flip, right? That's how we're going to get the power in the shot, is the flip. So once again, because the ball's on the right side of the goal, we have to shoot it to the left in order to score. So that means that we have to tilt our car to the right so that we can shoot it to the left. So I'm just going to mention one more thing here. So like I said, so this shot number 4, it's the same one as number 3, just from the different side of the field. But keep in mind that you guys have 1.5 seconds before you lose your flip. So from the time that you jump to the point that you flip, you have a total of 1.5 seconds to control the car in the air using air roll, or whatever means you want to use. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're doing these air roll shots, is that you have a lot of time to, in between the shot and the jump, to air roll. Alright guys, so here's just a quick reminder here that air roll could be any air roll, right? That however you shoot, it doesn't matter. So for most air roll shots, the main premise of an air roll shot is that you just use the non-air roll button, like this one that I have bound to triangle. But at the end, it doesn't really matter what you use, just as long as you get your intended goal, which is to, move the ball in a different direction, therefore so you can score. So for me anyways, I don't just normally use just any one button. Like most of the time I'll use my triangle button here, but every once in a while, if I feel I'm more comfortable with it, I'll use either like a tornado spin, like arrow right, or just arrow right in general. Like just use arrow right for some of my shots, because you can get the same result using arrow right or arrow left as you can with the non-arrow. Just whatever your preference is, right? Or depending on the situation. So let's get back here, right? So for shot number 5, so I can use my triangle arrow, my non-arrow triangle, right? I can use that for this shot. But I could also use arrow right, because that's also a comfortable option for me here. Like I could use either one, it doesn't really matter, right? It's the same idea. So I'm gonna jump, right? Have the time, 1.5 seconds, right? And then however I want to air roll to the ball is completely up to me, right? That's why it's called an arrow shot, right? Because again, anywhere, it doesn't matter what arrow you use, just whatever arrow, right? You just get the intended purpose, like, okay, I want to move the ball in a direction where it's not already going, redirect it a bit, using whatever you want. So I could use, again, like I said, my arrow right for this, or if I would rather, I could also use my other one, just because I'm comfortable doing that. But it doesn't matter which one you use. It could be arrow right, arrow left, non-arrow. It could literally does not matter how you use or move your car in the air between those 1.5 seconds and getting to the ball. It doesn't matter, just as long as you get your intended purpose of, like, okay, I wanted to move it in this direction, right, that I wasn't already going, or whatever, right? But it doesn't matter what you use, right? It could be, again, like I said, any of those types of air rolls. It doesn't matter which one. Okay, so shot number 6 here. So this is a good example of how I would probably only use normal arrow, like my non-arrow for this, because I'm not comfortable with arrow left personally. So I kind of just use my non-arrow to make up for that. So wherever I'm not comfortable with these, I just kind of use a normal arrow, because again, I'm not super comfortable with arrow left. So that's kind of, like I said, it's on a basis of like, okay, well, what are you comfortable with, right? What's your comfort zone in this situation at this angle, you know, like, so don't overthink like how you're shooting it. Just shoot it, right? Just shoot the ball in whatever way is comfortable for you from whatever angle. It doesn't matter, right? Just as long as you're able to get it done. Okay, one last example here, shot number 7. So this one I'm going to purposely use arrow right, just because I can, right? I mean, I could use my normal arrow too, but it doesn't really matter, right? So, I mean, at this point, all you guys need to know is that all an arrow shot is just the jump, the 1.5 seconds, a little bit of arrow adjustment in the air, and then a flip of last second. That's all it is, right? And that there's not a concrete rule of, oh, you should use this arrow or that arrow. It doesn't matter which one you use, just as long as you get the result that you wanted, which is to redirect the ball in a different direction that will help you score. And if I didn't make it clear, like with this type of shot, right, it's moving away from the goal, and it's not really like in your favor, right, of like, okay, yeah, it's not really going quite at the goal, right? So that's why we use the arrow, right, so that we can kind of nudge it in the direction we need to get it down to, right? Right. Okay, I move myself over here to shot number 10, right? So the higher level, or just more difficulty, right, it gets harder as it requires more time for you to jump, like hold your jump longer, right? Which means that you'll have to arrow for longer, or just be in the air longer in general before you go for the shot. Alright, you guys, I'm going to move back here to the Open Nets training pack here, and I'm going to cover, like, basically the different levels of arrow and, like, kind of the progression of the difficulty here. And once again, check the description because I put everything down there. Okay, so this is shot number 5 in the pack. So my goal here, right, is that you don't have to arrow a whole lot, if at all, to hit this shot, right? So it basically starts out with you, like, not arrowing a whole lot, like, just basically like a little micro adjustment, right? Alright, so if you saw that, I basically jumped last second and only did the slightest amount of arrow, right? So like it kind of varies, like how much time you need to be in the air and like how much arrow you need to achieve your goal, right? So again, here's another example of where I could use like tornado spins, or at least in my case arrow right, because that's what I'm comfortable with, right? So this is again another example where I could use that instead if I'm more comfortable with that, right? Alright, so I move myself here to shot number 27. So this is again, like, instead of like just like jumping last second and only doing a minor adjustment, I'm gonna have to like kind of elongate those two actions a little bit longer now for this to work. So if you saw, it was kind of like I still only had to arrow a little bit because there wasn't that much room I needed to score the goal there, but I had to hold my jump a little bit longer because of the way the shot was designed. Here's shot 28. Okay, I want you guys to note two things here. Number one, I did not use any arrow for this shot. I mean, I did use arrow, just not the typical kind, right? Not the traditional arrow, whatever, right? So for this shot, I used two things. Number one is non-arrow, right? So all I'm using to get up to the ball here is just basically whatever momentum and the way my car moves with just the stick, okay? Like no actual arrow button. And then once I do that, at the last second, I flip, but I also flip cancel at the same time. So I'm gonna do shot 28 one more time. I'm just gonna kind of talk it through. So here I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna tilt back and then flip cancel. Gonna do it one more time. Tilt back, flip cancel. Okay, here's shot number 30. I'm gonna jump, arrow, and then do a flip cancel. So again, I have the choice not to flip cancel there, but it usually ends up in me getting less power and less accuracy. All right, this is shot number 33. Gonna just show it real quick. Alright, so the idea here, guys, is that the more angle that there is and the more airtime that's required to actually get to the ball, the harder the shot's going to be. Alright, and just to wrap up this section, we're going to move to shot 23, and this is what I'm talking about, guys, with the 1.5 seconds. You guys literally have a lot of, like, depending on what skill level you are, you have a lot of time to get up to the ball and hold that flip, right? So I might not need maybe not as much air roll for this shot, but, like, I have to definitely hold my flip 100%, and then maybe go for a flip cancel. Alright, you guys, so I did not cover aerial car control in this tutorial. That will be for another tutorial. However, they are interconnected in terms of your aerial shots, okay? So, like, your ability to control your car in the air and your aerial shots are the same. They're basically connected, right? So if you can control your car really well in the air, you'll be able to control it just fine in between an aerial shot. So I'm gonna mix everything that we just talked about. So the jump, the air roll, the flip cancel. Like, I'm gonna do it all just in this one shot, right? I'm gonna show you the whole comprehension of everything in this one shot. But now the only difference is I'm just adding that flair of just having that good car control and how that, like, manifests itself in the game and how I shoot the ball. So I just want to iterate to you guys right now, the only reason that shot was even remotely possible for me to do in that fashion with that much spins is practice, okay? I have my air rolls practice, my aerial rights, like all that stuff, right? And that's how, like, your aerial car control and your level with that, kind of how that affects your shooting and, like, how it can elevate your shooting. So basically, by working on your aerial car control, which I'll cover in a different video, right? Your aerial shots just get that much better. And then by the time that you're really good at both aerial car control and these types of shots, you won't even think about the air roll bit. You'll just do it, and you'll just be like, okay, I know exactly how I want to roll the car and shoot the ball, right? It's just practice. All right, so I've moved myself back to shot number 7 here. So I wouldn't put this in the category of a quote-unquote air roll shot per se. However, in order for you to get up to this ball and shoot it in a way that works, you need to air roll in between the jump and when you hit the ball. But at the end of the day, it still uses all the same mechanics. So for me, I would say this lands more in, like, the aerial category rather than the aerial shot category, but it's still, again, like I said, uses very similar mechanics. And I would say anything that I mentioned about aerial car control is even more prevalent now with these more aerial based types of shots, right? So while for most aerial shots you only need to micro adjust a little bit, for these longer, like, taller shots that require you to double jump, then the practice you put into aerial car control is really going to come through here on top of the micro adjustments. And then once again, if I didn't say it already, after a certain point of practicing, you'll be able to do these shots however you want to. You could use non-air roll, tornado spin. You could do whatever you want after a certain point of practice, right? You can do this shot however you want to. It'll just be second nature. So this is me doing this shot with non-air roll, right? Like, basically nothing. There we go, super basic, right? So I mean so basically I didn't even use technical air roll. I just kind of used the non-air roll, right? And literally all that, everything in between me jumping and getting the ball there was just aerial car control that I worked on in practice, right? So the only real difference here now is that we're going to use the fast aerial mechanic, and then we're also just going to use all of our aerial car control that we've been working on, right? And that's how you're going to use it to win and get the shot going, right? All right, so let's use shot number 9 here to, like, kind of use, so we're gonna mix two things, right? We're gonna mix the double jump aerial, right? So obviously we want to score this, right? Like, you know, but after a certain level, that's gonna be a little easy. So let's just try and aim for a certain spot in the goal. So right now we're gonna aim for top right. So when I do this shot, I'm gonna use, again, the basic fast aerial, but then right at the end, I'm going to use micro adjustments that I've been practicing, right? Or just in general from the aerial shots to shoot the ball where I want it to, right? All right, let's do that shot again, but on the top left. All right, here's another example, shot number 10. So if you guys want to know what I do personally, for me anyways, I like to switch in between non-air roll and tornado spin. It just really just depends on the shot and how I want to approach it, or just whatever I'm comfortable with. So sometimes I'll just switch back and forth between the two. And like I said, after a certain point, aerial car control and air roll and all that stuff, it all kind of blends together, and it all becomes like a blurry line, and it doesn't really it kind of just blurs together. You don't really There's no definition of like, okay, this air roll or that air roll. You just kind of air roll like naturally. You just kind of do whatever feels right, you know. So easily I could mid shot or mid aerial, right, switch between like 2 different aerial buttons or 3 aerial buttons, whatever your gig is, right? But I could easily just switch between all of those, because, you know, I'm trying to, again, I use all those arrow buttons for me to achieve my goal, right? Okay, shot number 12 is officially going to be the last example for this pack. And basically all it is, I'm just going to tornado spin to the ball. And because I'm so comfortable with tornado spin and I've had so much practice with it, I can control it however I want to. Meaning that it doesn't matter kind of how my car spins, I'll always be able to shoot the ball where I want it to. Even though I'm spinning the entire time, which again, it looks flashy. It really does. It does look flashy, like I'm freestyling to the ball by spinning to it the whole way. But it's all on purpose. Alright, you guys, that'll be it for the tutorial. Hopefully I didn't explode your brains with all that. I know it was kind of a lot to take in, but if you guys just kind of look back at the video, break it down step by step, you know, with flip cancels, jump, 1.5 second jump time hold, right? You know, aerial car control, all that important stuff, right? Just look back through it. Eventually it'll make sense, but you know, air roll surprisingly is a lot more complex and has a higher skill ceiling than most really realize at first. It's actually there's quite a lot that goes into it and a lot of practice. So don't feel bad if I made you feel like you're bad at the game. I didn't mean to. But like I said, that's all I got for you guys today. And I'm gonna go ahead here. I'm gonna go back into the open nets pack and I'm gonna showcase some more arrow shots just to keep you guys motivated. But other than that, that's it. Bye.